cell phones and pagers while the meeting is in session. And let's see. I'd like to do Pledge of Allegiance to start our meeting off. And I'd like to ask Sandra Lowe if she would step to the podium to lead us, I was going to say lead us in a prayer, sorry. Lead us in the pledge.
Ready, begin. I
Pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for
which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Lowe. Where's my pen? What? Oh, yeah. Why don't you? You can. Okay, I'm looking for a pen. Oh, thank you. And I don't know if it's proper or not, but I mean, obviously you have not been certified yet, so I don't want to break any laws, but I'd like to congratulate you on your election. And soon we'll be seeing you up here. I like having another woman. Not that I don't like these guys, but I think it's going to be wonderful. So it'll be great. I'm looking forward to working with you, I'm sure, as everyone else is. So, let's see. So I wanted to let you all know this evening. Okay, where am I here? Roll call, please. Doesn't even say it. Oh. Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Felder,
Here?
Vice Mayor Dean,
Here.
Councilmember Barnett,
Here.
Mayor Agrimonti.
Here.
Thank you.
So I also wanted to let everyone know that we've had some transmission issues. So if you have your device, you cannot go onto Zoom here because it sort of ruins our reception, if that's the right word. I just want to remind of you, and also we have people who are probably viewing us on KSVY and on Zoom, so I just wanted to remind you about that. And public comment process, there is, as I said, there's going to be people who are here on Zoom, and also report on a closed session. We did not have a closed session, so there's nothing to report on. So at this point, what I'd like to do is have approval of the agenda. If anybody has any changes, or if somebody would like to.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Felder,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Barnett,
Aye.
Mayor Agrimonti.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Do I go out to the public for this? No, I'm going for, all right. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda. It is recommended that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less under state law unless otherwise permitted under the Ralph M. Brown Act. The merits of the matters presented under this item cannot be discussed or acted upon by the City Council at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public will be invited to make comments at that time the item comes up for City Council consideration. Upon being acknowledged by the mayor, please step to the podium and speak into the microphone. Begin by stating your and spelling your name. Members of the public present in the chambers will be called first, and then those who are attending by Zoom will be called on at that point. So, are there any meeting dedications today? Oh, we haven't even gone into our. Okay. Sorry. So at this point, I'm waiting. If anybody is out there who would like to give any comments, you just have to step to the podium. Oh boy. Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom? None? Wow. Hey. Does anyone have any presentations? None. And at this point, meeting dedications? None? All right. So, consent calendar. Read, okay. Okay, anyone, consent calendar. There will be no separate discussion of these issues unless members of the council or staff request further specific items to be removed from us for a separate action. Is anyone here, would you like to make any changes or ask that something be pulled from the consent agenda?
I have one item. I don't want to pull it, just making a quick comment. I really appreciate this kind of style, so-called work plan. So for sure, each council member and the staff know what I'll go for the next quarter. I really appreciate city manager. Thank you.
Yeah, I do as well. Do you have any comments? I know I want to discuss 4.8. And I understand we don't have to actually pull it out. We can just discuss it and then go back.
Yeah, I would say if you do plan to discuss it at length, 4.8, then I would go ahead and pull it from consent calendar.
All
If you
right,
just
then.
had one question or comment, then I would say
Okay.
you don't need to
So
pull it.
I'd like to pull it then. And at this point, okay, so I just want to pull it.
Just a quick comment.
Well, I have something I
Okay.
really want to say. But at this point, does anybody have any comments or would they like to pull anything from the public? It's out to the public for this? I don't see any actions. I see no one coming to the podium. So I request to pull 4.8.
Should
And
we
we don't-
approve the rest of the consent calendar first?
Yeah.
All right, I move that we approve the consent calendar except for 4.8.
I second.
May I have a roll call?
Councilmember Felder,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Barnett,
Aye.
Mayor Agrimonti.
Aye. Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much. So this is, I like Mr. Vice Mayor Ding. I really enjoy looking at this. I've had a few notes here that I want to make sure that we are looking at this. I just think the whole thing is fantastic, and I would like to compliment our city manager, Garrett Toy, because I think I don't know, I just think it's wonderful that you've finally put this in writing, where we have been kicking and screaming for this probably for 2 to 3 years, and I appreciate, you're doing that. So, I think, let's see, goal number 2, can I make a comment for people who are gonna be on that ad hoc committee, or should I wait until they meet?
We've already met once, so I make a comment.
Okey dokey. So my biggest complaint is that people blame the city council for lack of, I guess, building, housing and everything. And what really I believe in my heart stops us are the appeals. And for $400, now $500. Sorry, so my suggestion is that we reconsider maybe even 800, but I would prefer $1,000. And I know that was rejected the last time, but I don't know, I feel really, really strongly about that.
Oh,
Go ahead,
over the summer, we modified the appeal fees
500.
for smaller permits, but for larger permits, which are generally the ones that are appealed, we raised those to 1,000.
Oh, I thought it was only outside, the people from outside the city.
No, outside the city is, I think, even 2,500. And then
Oh, that's, all right, well, thank you. Now
yeah.
I feel even better, I'll stand tall. So thank you, I don't have to think about that. I think it's number 4, enhancement plan. For the plaza and depot enhancement connectivity, I think, I was looking at this, and one of the things I know that goes unnoticed, it has been this way forever, is that the Women's Club were a big part of building Sonoma Plaza. And so when we look at this, I'd like us to be able to know that there is a very important role that the Women's Club has taken a part with, and I'm really excited about that. Goal number 5. Let's design work of parklets. And I think everyone knows about this. My goal, of course, is to have some type of an amendment to whatever agreement we have with the restaurants, that they report accidents if they happen. And I think that's really important because, we just have to ensure that our people are safe. And where am I? Oh, and goal number 7, of course, Mr. Barnett, the cemeteries, which we are really very, very concerned about. That I think we need, besides our staff, I have a friend who managed a huge cemetery in Colma. He's willing to give his time. He's moved here, and I have another friend who handles VA cemeteries. So we might bring in people from the outside to see what they can offer us, that they think it's really important. And I love goal number 8. I think that's wonderful. And down to 10, one of the things I would love to say about this is I think it's cultural resources and explore the creation of historic district designations. I really believe that art and history should be at the table with the chamber and the Visitors Bureau. It's so important. People, there are a lot of reasons to visit Sonoma, but I think one of the most a priority is the history of the city of Sonoma, and I think that has never really been paid attention to. So I think I'm really looking forward to people, to this council looking at that, and I appreciate the work plan. Does anyone else have any comment on 4.8? None? Okay, well, I'll take it out to the public, see if is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? I may have missed something, Mr. Allebach.
No, hi, Fred Allebach, 8th Street East. It's good to be back after a long time and good to see you all. And I just thought I would comment on these. I thought the city council goals were all really good and strong, and particularly the cemetery. I've worked there and doing fundraising tours for the Overlook Trail, and it's just a really special resource here. There's really nothing like it, and so I would suggest that at the cemetery that you look into making it a historic park as well as just a plain cemetery. That's something that could easily be justified, and it's just a shame how the place is falling apart, and even me and my friends could go up and fix it up. And so like a masonry crew that you could hire to go fix up some of these historic grave sites would be really great. I don't see why that can't just be done and instead of having it just fall down. And for one of the other goals, I'm not exactly sure what to call it. I've been informally calling it the City of Sonoma Valley goal, but I think that's seriously important here in the contiguous valley here, that we're all together, and this contiguous population would be the 4th largest city in Sonoma Valley if it was all unified after Rohnert Park. And some of the redistricting supervisors meeting yesterday, they showed the overlay of people who had COVID-19 and people who have the most poverty, and it was exactly identical to the Latino Springs area. So it just somehow doesn't seem right that Sonoma has got all this great stuff, and then right over here we have this tremendous poverty. So I would like to hope that somehow Sonoma can be kind of like West Germany to East Germany, and figure out how to work with that. And let's see. Oh, and I think that's all for now. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allebach. Are there any comments from LaTanya? Do you have anything from Zoom?
No, Mayor.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to bring it back to 4.8. Could I have a motion to approve?
I put a motion to approve.
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Barnett,
Aye.
Mayor Agrimonti.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. So I'm now on to 6.1, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding the roles and responsibility of the various city commissions and committees and provide direction to staff as appropriate. And turn it over to city manager.
Okay, so maybe as some background, you may recall at your retreat on September 10th, Council, among other items, talked about the roles and responsibilities of city commissions and committees. Specifically, you did talk about the Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission, the DRHPC, talked about the Community Service and Environment Commission, which is the CSEC. You talked about the Traffic Safety Committee and the Tree Committee. And in staff report, we just point out under your municipal code, it does say the council should annually review the responsibilities and effectiveness of the DRHPC. So, what I'd like to do this evening is kind of run through each of these committees, its functions, and what the staff recommendation would be related to these committees. And then what I think would be good is council could ask questions, then maybe take it to public comment, and then you have council deliberation, discussion, more so on the different actions that you would like us to follow up with. So, if I may, I'll start with the DRHPC. So that's per city code, that's a 5-member committee tasked with protecting the architectural heritage of Sonoma, identifying and preserving significant historic resources, and reviewing design and architecture. At the retreat, the council talked about its desire to perhaps transfer the design review responsibilities from the DRHPC to the Planning Commission. The rationale behind that is the Planning Commission oftentimes with the project, there's also, beyond just design review, there's usually some type of land use or other discretionary permit that requires Planning Commission review and approval. So it would seem to make sense that the Planning Commission just do all the approvals related to a project. Now, benefit to that, if we do that, obviously it would save staff time for preparing another report for the DRHPC, and as well as it would streamline the approval process for applicants. Staff estimates that it's about 50% of the design review applications for projects that go to DRHPC also require some type of consideration from the Planning Commission. We think if we actually were to transfer design review to the Planning Commission, that the newly formed HPC, which would be the Historic Preservation Commission, committee, would actually probably just only need to meet 4 times a year. The streamlined process, as we indicated, would save the applicants time from attending a meeting, would save them out-of-pocket costs for having their professional firms attend the meeting. Another benefit is that the meeting, DRHPC meeting, would no longer count toward the limit of 5 hearings under the Permit Streamlining Act. That's an additional benefit. And so with staff, we would actually recommend that we take away the DR responsibilities from the DRHPC, and then it would just become the Historic Preservation Commission. It would still have the same responsibilities that it has now related to historic preservation. So if we move on, there's the Traffic Safety Committee. And the Traffic Safety Committee per code is a 5-member committee tasked with evaluating traffic safety issues that are referred to it either by staff or by the City Council. The Traffic Safety Committee then makes recommendations to the City Council. Now, at the retreat, when we talked about this, staff indicated that many times traffic concerns actually must be evaluated by a traffic engineer and should be evaluated by public safety. In addition, we indicated that the city is required to follow the manual and uniform traffic control devices for streets and highways, or refer to it as MUTCD, and the failure to follow the MUTCD could expose the city to liability, as well as recommendations that need to be enforceable by law enforcement. So in essence, what we believe this should actually be an internal committee. It'd be staffed by police, fire, public works, and a traffic engineer as needed, and those recommendations, if needed, would come to the council for approval. So that's the Traffic Safety Committee. For the Tree Committee per code, the Tree Committee right now consists of 2 members from your CSEC committee and 1 certified arborist. The Tree Committee does review applications, development applications, and makes recommendations to the Planning Commission or the Design Review and Historic Preservation Committee. We went back and looked, and in 2021, Tree Committee had 6 meetings, considered 24 applications. Again, staff thinks, and based on the council discussion at the retreat, that this could probably be something handled administratively. It would really streamline the process. make it easier for applicants. And I think some concerns may be raised as staff. I think we would say what we would do is we would consult as an arborist as needed for these tree applications. So you would have the arborist still have a role. The other thing we can do, if the concern is how does the community know you're going to do something, we can adopt some kind of notification process. And what that would be in some communities, applicants put a red ribbon around trees slated to be submitted an application on removal, put a red ribbon on it, you wait 7-10 days, see if you get any public comment, and then after that, if the application's approved, they could remove the tree. We could have a subset of that where we report to the CSEC kind of the applications we received, as well as perhaps let them know if there's any applications in the pipeline if they want to go look at a tree and offer comments to staff. So that's a little subset of the tree committee. The next committee that we talked about is the CSEC. That's a council-appointed 7-member commission whose purpose is to advise the city council on matters related to preservation, enhancement of parks, open space, recreational facilities, among other things. The council actually expressed the desire at your retreat to really clarify the roles and responsibilities of the CSEC with regard to climate action. In the staff report, we indicate that the Joint Climate Action Subcommittee, which consists of 2 council members, 2 members from CSEC, actually met, and they actually clarified that this committee, that the Joint Climate Action Subcommittee would be responsible for preparing the Climate Action Plan, as well as the recommendations related to the city's Sustainable and Climate Action Work Plan. And at the retreat, the council also asked us to schedule a joint meeting with the CSEC so we could talk about the roles and responsibilities at a joint meeting. We did try to schedule a meeting on October 13th, but that had to be canceled due to a lack of a quorum for the CSEC, so we would need to have that future meeting, so we'll coordinate that for the council. So at this point, we're not recommending any action related to CSEC until the council has its joint meeting. Related to the other committees, pretty much because all those committees are set by city code, we would, depending on the council direction, need to come back to you with the various ordinance changes in order to accomplish the changes. So tonight, it's really a discussion and a direction to be given to staff related to our recommendations related to changes to some of these committees. And with that, that's the staff report.
Thank you so much. At this point, I think I'd like to ask if there are any questions from the council for our city manager. Mr. Barnett?
I had one quick question about the tree committee. You said that when the tree, as currently constituted, the tree committee meets and makes recommendations to the planning or design review commission. So it's part of, like, an application doesn't reach them until the tree committee has approved the removal of the tree. So it's part of the overall application. Because I never remember seeing anything from the tree committee. And so perhaps it was just part of the application?
Yeah, my understanding, and I know Wendy may be able to help me out, is
sure.
that the tree committee, they get the applications, they can offer their recommendations. It's not like they're approving anything,
Right,
they're just
right.
offering recommendations, and I would assume that's included in the packet that the planning commission receives.
Is that how it works?
Yes, there's a section in the staff report to the Planning Commission that says the project was reviewed by the tree committee and this is their recommendation for tree replacement.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Felder? None? Just one moment. Still asking the council, but thank you. Vice Mayor? None?
It's fine, yes.
All right. At this point, I take it out to the public, and you're invited to come up and speak. Just step to the podium. You have 3 minutes. Please let us know your name.
My name's Armando Zimmerman, ARMANDLZIMMERMANN, and I live on West Spain Street. I wanted to add something to the comments about the tree committee. I have been a member of the traffic safety committee, and in the past, trees have come up as an issue in regard to traffic safety. Sometimes there may be a tree at an intersection, it's blocking this and that and the other. And the last one I know we were involved in was 2nd Street East and Perkins, I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly.
Patton.
But nonetheless,
You were involved in that.
I know that that process became very drawn out for a lot of different reasons. Stop signs or no stop signs, doing something with a couple of trees that might be impeding lights, what do you got? What do they call it? Lines of sight, things like that.
Right.
So I just wanted to add that's also been I've been aware of it as a component in the city from time to time. I would like to ask a question from the city manager, if I could. Are you recommending, this is in regard to the Traffic Safety Committee, are you recommending to do away with the public participation in that process?
Well, and I think you ask us, and then we will ask our
Oh,
city
sorry.
manager to, no, that's all right, and you will ask our city
All
manager
right,
to respond.
okay.
But state your question to
Well,
us.
I guess I was referring to the comments I heard regarding Traffic Safety Committee, and the public component of that is, I didn't understand the discussion that happened previously and what was said tonight.
Okay, well, when we're done at this point, we will ask our city manager to respond to you. Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. He will, after we're done, and.
Oh, when you're done.
Yeah, after we have other public comments, we'll come back to your question.
Okay, so I was only commenting on trees and not traffic safety, is that what you're saying?
Yes, and then,
I think all she's saying is once we get all the public comment, then they'll ask me to answer your question.
Oh,
thank you, sir.
Hi, Fred Allbach again, 8th Street East. I felt like as a citizen of the valley, I'm not a citizen of the city, that being able to participate in commissions and committees is a way to get involved in the city and to participate, and in a way it also trains people to gain expertise in government process. And so in that sense, the process is the goal rather than the goal maybe being to be more efficient, so to involve the public. And so I just wanted to make that point is that these are fun opportunities, and they might not be that efficient, but they are fun for people to participate in, and it allows them to kind of get in the pipeline, and maybe they go from design review to the planning commission, or et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's important to keep in mind in your discussion if you wanted to consider that. And then also for the Climate Action Joint Subcommittee, that's like the hardest acronym to remember. I can never get those letters straight. But I looked at some of the other ones that are around the county, and in particular Sebastopol had one that had a more wide range of people in the community. They had like an environmental rep, a business rep, and youth rep, etc. So I just had the thought that, if this, and so the CSEC in a way is kind of like that, but if it moves over to the Climate Action Joint Subcommittee, there's only 4 people on it, and those people are not necessarily representative of the whole community or the whole valley. So I just wanted to suggest that as you look at that particular subcommittee, you might think about expanding it to have youth, environmental, and involve more of the community in that. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Allabach. Latonya, is anyone from outside? Nobody? So we do have a question for you, Mr. Toy, from Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, oh, sorry, I wasn't clear enough, Mr. Zimmerman. But yes, we're recommending that the Traffic Safety Committee move to an internal committee consisting of police, fire, public works, and a traffic engineer.
So I guess before we move on, if anyone has a question or a comment, but I guess these people have really helped, from the public, and I just want to make sure they were honored in some way. If we're going to be decreasing the committees or doing away with them, it would be great for us to be able to say thank you and honor them. So I just wanted to ask that we do that. So, anyone have nothing more? We're good?
Also, I appreciate the public comments regarding and all our community members got more chance to participate on the local decision made. That is very important because we are in a small town, and all our communities are very educated and has passion to participate. We should encourage. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
Oh.
Barnett?
We're just offering our comments.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you again, Garrett, for that presentation, and I appreciate obviously the public comment as well. When it comes to the Design Review and Historic Preservation Committee, you know, as the city manager mentioned, these new state housing laws that require some projects to be approved within 5 meetings. Obviously, I think that is something, you know, to the extent that we retain as much local control as possible. You know, design is obviously a very important part of the planning process, and it can probably be handled at the Planning Commission. And so I do support that. I also support that because I think a benefit of that is we can now allow that commission to focus on historic preservation, which I think is very important for Sonoma, not just for the people that live here, but the people that visit here. It's an important part of our economy. And as a former design review and historic preservation commissioner, I would get frustrated because we would want to focus on historic preservation, but every meeting we would have design applications and sign applications, and we could never get to the historic preservation aspect of the committee. And so I think this is a benefit so that this commission can now be forward thinking and take initiative and focus on creating districts. I mean, in 2016 on the Design Review Commission, I wanted to create a demolition by neglect ordinance, which still has not occurred. And so perhaps that new commission can focus on that. And perhaps some people will be now attracted to serve on that commission that were otherwise perhaps dissuaded because of the design review component and vice versa. And so that said, I would like, for all of these, I would like to talk about, similar to what the mayor just said, perhaps having these joint meetings or meeting with these commissions, because, you know, I don't know if commissioners are aware of this or if they know this is coming, and I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to meet with them to sort of talk this through and sort of get their input as well. So I would like to see what the rest of the city council thinks about that. When it comes to traffic safety, I also support that just because I think that is a very technical process, and you know, and part of it is I feel like our traffic safety committee never met, and I don't know why that happened. I think we have obviously a lot of traffic safety issues in the city, and I think that it probably should have been engaged more. And so I don't know if it was I don't know why it didn't meet very much, but I think that there are obviously traffic safety issues on West Main Street and 5th Street West, and you know, perhaps that Broadway situation would have gone a little smoother if they had looked at that. They never did. And so I don't know whether we just get rid of the committee or we actually use the committee. And so I'd like to see what people think about that. Although I do think, as I said, it is a technical, you know, it's a really technical committee, obviously focused on engineering and state law, et cetera. The tree committee, I think, is very important. I would like you know, obviously an arborist to still have a role in that. I would also like a notification process, and you know, similar to like if a building is historic or over 50 years, or if a building is over 50 years old, it has to have a historic resource evaluation. So I assume a tree that needs to be removed will have to have a certain sort of certification, and whether that's in-house through arborists or whatever, at some point it will be in the public, a design review, well, if it still exists, or at the Planning Commission. And so I do think the public role in that tree process is important, and so I would want to preserve that. I watched the Joint Climate Action Committee that was, I believe, last month, and I think I was happy to see that committee, A, exist, and B, I think that's where all of our climate action policy and plans should take place, because I think that the Community Services and Environment Commission is an important commission, and that is also another commission I would like to meet with as the council. I know that we had that planned, and I would still like to make that happen, but I personally don't want those meetings to be focused on climate policy when we have all these other things that I think that commission could be focused on, or we should talk about what the mission of that commission is. Because if, for example, I know that they do a lot of the special events on the plaza, but if that is if that is primarily administrative, or we now have a special event person at City Hall, and if all the climate stuff is now on this new joint committee, which I'm also interested in talking about the composition of that, then what is left at the CSCC? And so from what I remember, I don't really remember this, but I know historically, when I was a kid, they did utility rates. They focused, I could imagine this committee looking at not just our parks, but our water. Like, we have a water utility, we have a cemetery. Well, hopefully we have a cemetery, and new opportunities there. There are a lot of community services that we provide that perhaps this commission could look at, and we could talk about that with them, so you get their input, see what they think, see what we think. But I do think that committee needs to be either rethought, or I just want to make sure that there is a charge to that committee if, again, special events are going sort of in a more administrative fashion, and now we have a separate climate committee. So those are my general thoughts thus far.
Thank you. Mr. Felder?
I'm sorry. I agree with the staff recommendation on all of these various committees and commissions. For DRHBC, I fully support splitting off the design review to Planning Commission. I think it's appropriate, and for lots of reasons that were well stated, that should be the way to go. And I also agree that we should focus on the historic preservation and give that commission a new charge to really tackle those issues, because I think those are important. Traffic safety, again, I agree that there's a lot of technical issues involved there, and I can see most of that being handled administratively. I can also see that there are times where maybe an issue comes up that should be reported out to a different commission like planning. But I again agree with keeping that as an internal committee. Tree committee, I think, as long as it's handled within where the administrative portion of the task is done initially, and there's an arborist involved, then the public review and comment would come about when it gets presented through either the design review or planning commission as appropriate. And then finally on CSEC, I agree that first of all we need more work and input from that commission before we make final decision, but I do think we should split off the climate action as a separate standing committee, which is the way it's gone now. I support Mr. Albach's comments that we should expand the composition of that committee to include a broader aspect of the community, and I think that's appropriate. So I guess in the general case, as Councilmember Barnett has said, I think it's important to meet with these commissions and committees to get their input before we make any final decisions, and have that discussion to make sure that we're not missing something and that we're able to proceed in an orderly fashion where we're taking care of the common good for the city. So those are my comments.
Yeah.
I already mentioned, yeah,
All right.
generally, yeah, thank you.
Well, I agree. As I said it earlier, I just want to make sure that we've handled this properly. There's no council, it's just our discretion. We can move forward. And you, I think, Mr. Toy, have heard our comments. I don't think there's a vote or anything here.
I have one more comment
All
I
right,
forgot to
sure.
mention. It's sort of unique that this was a discussion topic tonight because I spoke via Zoom on Monday with, I want to say about a month ago, a young student came and advocated for the creation of a youth commission. And she reached out, and I spoke. I thought she had a great idea. Petaluma has a youth commission. I told her, obviously, the city of Sonoma is small, and it would have to, in my view, youth from throughout the valley, the school district should be able to serve on it. And I think it could be a real unique partnership with the school district to create some sort of youth commission. And so I know we're talking about removing commissions, but perhaps we could also create that sort of opportunity for, look at youth commissions in the area, look at best practices, speak with the school district. And I personally thought it was a great idea. I don't know what the rest of the council thinks, but as we're sort of thinking about our commissions and going forward and how they're going to be constituted, I think we should also consider perhaps a youth commission.
Yeah, I know that in the past, I think Amy Harrington, she actually discussed that as well. Somehow it evolved into the leadership role from the high school. So it it sort of got a little bit disconnected, but there was a leadership program.
Yeah.
But I don't think it connected with us per se.
Yeah, it sort of became like a summer, week or 2 week sort of program, but it wasn't, in my view, that wasn't like a commission. I mean, they did various things, and it was, I think, good for what it was, but,
But it did not fulfill, I think, what Councilmember Harrington wanted.
Correct, I agree. I think she wanted something similar to a youth commission. Yeah.
I like the idea. I don't know how that's administered, but it's just something I think is pretty interesting. Did you have it, Mr.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I really, really want to see our local young students and the young generation, they join us to make any decision. One time I watched on the TV the CSEC. I saw that there is no youth commissioner in your commission. Is that right? Yeah. Oh yes, yeah. Yeah, it is really good. She really, really closely listen to every issues. She could understand all of them and also have very fresh idea, very, very, very good. Yeah. So as to the young students, I think in the future we need to work closely with the school district. See, not only in the participate, and also we could provide some internship opportunity for them. For example, if they are interested and do some of the research or climate, action. Yeah, they are also very interested. We can work together, and then sometimes, we can assign some specific project for them, or if they have any new project, we can consider, and then we can hear them more, and then make a lot of good, decision for the community, for the young people. Yeah.
That's a nice opportunity for young people to be involved in government. There's nothing wrong with that. Mr. Felder, did you want to?
I agree wholeheartedly with getting some kind of a youth commission and more of an overarching things like for the school district, not just within city boundaries, so that we really include a good cross-section of the youth. It's going to take a little work to define that role and to make sure that there's the proper direction and supervision to run that commission, but I think it's a worthwhile task.
Right. I agree. I like this idea, but as you said, Councilmember Felder, we need a goal and a commitment. We need to understand exactly what that role might be, because I think that they would offer a new perspective. I think that's a wonderful opportunity. So I've already gone out to the public on this. We've come back to us. And so I think, Mr. Toy?
So I think I need some guidance. It sounds like that the council want to attend joint meetings with all these different committees to talk about about these issues before we do anything? Is that the majority of you's pleasure?
that's the way I'm leaning
Yeah.
through the mayor, just because I think this is a big step to kind of do the shakeup of commissions and committees. And I think it would be unfair of us not to consider input from those commissions and committees as we make our decisions.
And that's fine. You just need to know that will take a while just
Yeah.
to set up all those times with the holidays coming up. You're looking really at next year sometime in order to really
I
conduct
think,
all those meetings.
Yeah, I think the exception is probably design review and historic preservation. I think that one is more of a straightforward split, and I think I'd rather move ahead on that one a little bit more quickly. But I don't know how the rest of
I
them feel.
agree with you. And traffic as well, or
Well, I think, so when is the next design review meeting scheduled? Because I understand, I mean, I think we've made the decision, but I think it would be nice to meet with them as they embark upon a new historic preservation focus. I think we've made that decision, but I would like to have that joint meeting as soon as possible.
We're looking at scheduling a special design review and historic preservation commission meeting on December 7th and not having a meeting in November.
Okay.
Yeah, at the point when we kind of rearranged the way that we went through the process with Planning Commission and Design Review, Planning Director Storer and I went to the Design Review Commission and explained what we were trying to do so that they would be apprised of what we were asking in terms of approval and recommendation process. And they were very receptive to it. So I think even though this is kind of a done deal, I think having some kind of a session where we can meet with them and explain what we're doing is appropriate.
So the council's preference is do a joint meeting as opposed to perhaps sending one council member or ad hoc of two to the different committees to get their feedback.
I realize it's a difficult process to try to arrange a joint meeting to get everybody on the same page at a given time. So I have no problem with sending some representatives to talk at their meeting.
Well, I would prefer a joint meeting. I mean, it's really up to the pleasure of the council, but I think it would be more respectful, I think, if there's just representatives coming to sort of say how it's, I just sort of envisioned a conversation, I guess, together, but,
I guess the only drawback to that is if it's such a time-consuming process to set it up, it really stymies us to move forward. But I think that's the preferred way, is to be able to meet with them as a group. But
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll try this. We'll try to see whether council members can attend one of their meetings or they can attend one of your council meetings as a joint meeting for just talk about these. So we'll try that. It sounds like with all the groups, although traffic safety is just as needed. I think they've met twice in 2021, and they met last time was in December 2018.
right.
So they don't meet very often, so we would have to call that one we would have to get them to, they don't meet regularly, so we'd have to schedule that. Tree committee, is there a tree committee scheduled coming up? December 16th.
And the tree committee is composed of CSEC members, right?
Two
Yeah.
CSC and arborists, so it's just
I don't
three.
think that's necessary, because we'll be meeting with the CSEC, so we could even talk about the tree committee at the CSEC.
All right, that's a good idea. Okay, so to be clear, what we're going to do is schedule times to talk to the different committees before we come back with any actions, even though it sounds like for the DR, removing DR from the DRHPC is what the council believes should be the case, but you'd like to talk to the DRHPC ahead of time, so we'll wait for that discussion.
just out of respect.
Right. So I think that's a great idea, makes perfect sense. And then on the youth commission, did you want us to, in essence, do a survey of the other communities, collect information on their youth commissions, give you an idea, and then we'll talk to the school district at the same
I'd
time?
like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll bring it back to the council for a discussion at some point once we collect all the information. Okay,
Thank you.
perfect.
Wow.
Do you
Thank
think
you.
it might make sense to just open it up for public comment because the youth commission item was not discussed previously?
Oh, all
prior to
right.
public-
Thank you. I think we've done everything here. You have your marching orders for this?
Public comment.
Okay, and now we're going to the public.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kelso.
Sandra Lowe. I just wanted to echo my support on the Youth Commission. The young woman who is here did also reach out to me, and I'm very excited to talk to her and see what her ideas are. And so I want to thank you for bringing that to the attention of the council. And I look forward to the reorganization of the committees to work effectively. It sounds like a great move forward. So thank you.
That sounds good. And I think someone should reach out to Amy Harrington to actually, share what her ideas were and how it evolved into something else. Mr. Albach?
Fred Allebach, 8th Street East. I think that youth commission is a fantastic idea, and I definitely support it. It's a great idea, Kelso.
Well, to be fair, it was the students' idea. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mr. Zimmerman?
Armando Zimmerman. Regarding the Youth Commission, I fully support that. There's been, I think, some interaction regarding bicycle safety and kids. I know that some kids were using an underground parking lot to do bike tricks and, just basically wheelies, things like that, and I know that the police department got involved with that situation. But there are other safety issues regarding youth and bicycles and helmets, which a lot of kids do not wear. I really feel that we could benefit from input from young people as to how to encourage young people to be as safe as possible on the streets, but also when they're doing other kinds of bike things and whatever. I know they use a church off of Alvarado to jump moguls and all that kind of stuff. So I think it really would be important to draw youth in on some of these safety issues, bicycle safety in particular. Thank you.
First name Pather, last name Dalton. Had no intention of speaking when I heard the commission. This is an amazing idea. Spent many years involved with youth in both teaching and counselling. A member of the Sonoma Valley Ministerial Association. Anything we can do to empower the youth to feel part of the community at a decision-making level and feel that they have a voice and expression of their opinions, especially to political power, I think is awesome. It's a fantastic idea.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do you have something you'd like to share? Jack, the Vice Mayor? You're finished? You're done? No. Okay. So I just wanted to say, when I was working with the Transportation Authority for the bus services to be free, we had a high school representative, and she gave us a lot of information, which enabled the transportation people with the buses to change where bus stops were, because no one knew kids were walking from the high school up to the plaza to get on a bus. They changed it to East MacArthur because of her representation. She talked about the different times the kids went to school, what they used the buses for, and it's wonderful. So I agree. The knowledge, I don't take a bus. In fact, the first time, they were laughing because the first time I saw this big group of kids at East MacArthur, I thought, oh my God, there's a fight. They were all waiting for a bus because they've changed where they got on the bus. I think it is a great idea. Thank you, Kelso, and thank you all for supporting it. I think it's important, and maybe you can contact Amy and ask what the initial idea was. And as I said, it evolved into that leadership program, which are still valuable. But you know what? I think the feedback from young people would be really important. So I think, Mr. Toy, you've gotten, all right, thank you. Does anyone have, I have some reports, but would anybody like to proceed?
I have none.
None? Okay. Jack?
I attended County in the Water Advisory Commission.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so although right now we did have the two storms, however, and the drought situation is still remain. Yeah, we should, in the long term, we should preserve our water saving habits and for a long time. And also, and we mentioned about and the groundwater, and we still have the drought, groundwater sustainability and the groundwater to plan the draft, just close out for the public comments. But the door still is open for any new comments, new ideas. We can save it on our file, and then we are waiting for the next period of time to renew. That is 5 years. If any points which is very significant impact to our sustainability, the groundwater, also the staff and all of us want to make decision and take an action on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything? No, you said no already. And Mr. Barnett, nothing. Well, I have a couple of things. One, I'm with the Friends of the Library, and today I went to the Bibliobus at the library. It's great. It's a nice big size van. It actually has a lift for people who are disabled or older. I almost hopped onto the lift myself, but it has library books. They have devices there. They have classes. They can drive up to a school and talk to children in Spanish and in English. And actually, I spoke to the people of Vintage House that can drive there, and that you can get your library books there through the bus. You order them. But I think people should take a look at that. I'm going to ask Sarah Tracy to possibly put it on the city news, and it was just great. And the other one that I have here is the Sonoma County Transportation Authority kindly approved a project for us. We were late, and not late, we just didn't turn one in, but it was accepted, and city mayors voted 13-0 to support us to add our project to the list. So I'm very happy. I sent thank you notes to everyone, and I think it worked out really well, so I'm really happy about that. Also, let's see, I have no one else, and then city manager comments and announcements.
No report, although if you have future agenda items, now would be the time to share.
I would like to, if, I don't know how this works, do I just bring something up and the council says okay? Or, we were contacted yesterday by a member of the public asking us to send a letter to the Board of Supervisors about the redistricting for the districts within the county. And if that is the pleasure of the council, and we do support the Sonoma Valley remaining in one district, because from what I understand, I don't know if this would actually happen, but if Roner Park was then taken out of District 5, then they would have to equalize the districts. We might have to, anyway, I think it would have to divide Sonoma Valley, and so we just want to, from what I understand, support the map as proposed. And I mean, that's what I personally think. I don't know if this is what the council wants to get involved in, but they need to make a decision, from what I understand, by the end of early December. And so if we're going to send a letter to the Board of Supervisors, it would have to be on our next agenda. So.
Thank you. Well, that's all for me. So city manager, city attorney, do we have anything?
No comments this evening.
Thank you. Well, it seems to thank you all. I think if we're going into closed session, I'm adjourning the meeting. And conference with legal counsel, anticipate litigation pursuant to Government Code 54996.9 D2.
So, Madam Mayor, you're not necessarily adjourning the meeting, you're just
Oh,
adjourning
we're
the closed
adjourning
session.
this
And then we'll come back
We'll come
out,
back out.
report, and then close the meeting.
Thank you for
Right. So
reminding
if
me.
anybody does have comment
Thank you.
on the closed session item, which is rather vague, then this would be the time to do
Thank
it.
you.
So we have to open up public comment.
Yeah.
Yes, you ask for public comment for closed session items prior.
Right now? Yes. So I'll open it up for public comment for the closed session. For discussion for the closed session?
Just for them to comment on closed session.
Oh, if you have any questions you'd like to say from the public? Seeing none.
Yeah, we don't know what it's about. Yeah, we don't either. Yeah. Yeah. What has to
I
be
don't-
about the
Unfortunately,
closed
we can't say any more this time.
session?
I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing here.
So pretty much the public is allowed to comment on closed session as it's written. They could say whatever, and then you would adjourn to closed session, and then you'd come out to open session, report in closed session, and
So
then
I
adjourn
did
the
not
meeting.
close this.
So you didn't close the meeting,
No,
you
I
just
did not
adjourned to closed
adjourn.
session.
Okay, so, okay. So I still don't know what I'm supposed to do, but thank you for coming out this evening.